Game one of this doubleheader, 6-4 over the Phillies. I still can't figure out how to just do a recording and not go live, so I'll be going live. Um, that was an interesting ending for sure, no doubt about that. Robert Suarez made things interesting, and Brandon Marsh really made things interesting when there was the single to center and he went tried to go first to third there, and not try, he did. Manny, it was very close. Thought Manny got him, and then there was that other angle that was kind of like from first base, and it showed that Manny did miss him. Manny was saying post game that even Brandon Marsh thought that Manny got him on the tag. So sometimes you feel things, and it actually didn't happen in the heat of the moment. But what matters is the Padres. They won this game, and now they got the split doubleheader. Which, can I rant on the split doubleheader here for a second? Because I hate split doubleheaders. Do I like that there's two baseball games? Yeah, I love baseball. Now, to be honest, I don't love the timing of it because the U.S. women's national team and the men's national team are playing like at the same time, so I don't love that. But just in general, normally when there's two baseball games in a day, my favorite team playing, like yeah, that's great. But for it to be a split doubleheader, I don't like that. I think these billionaire owners can save themselves and they'll be fine with one game lost of revenue for ticket sales because it's not like they're losing the entire game revenue for everything. People will still go in between games and during the second game, they'll still go to concessions and maybe they'll still go to the team store and there's parking obviously and there's probably certain rates for how many hours you're parking around the city like so not everything gets lost, but there's just things that are so negative about this in my opinion, and I'm not even there. Like I'm thinking about fans, they have to leave the ballpark and then go back if they're going to both games. You got the ballpark workers who they're going to be there all day. Think about the grounds crew who they already have to be there earlier because of a regular, day game. And then they you add on the night game to it, and then they have to be there longer there. The clubhouse guys, even like the ushers who you're probably not leaving the ballpark and then coming back, so you're probably just sitting there for a couple hours. It's a longer day for everybody. You got the Padres who are now going to be flying across the country back home here. The day off tomorrow, by the way, the Padres players they have a mandatory dinner that they have to go to. I think it's dinner on the diamond or whatever it's called. That I believe I saw Kevin Acey write that that's tomorrow night. So it's not like they get this full off day to themselves anyway. So they're going to come in instead of landing at maybe midnight our time. I don't know, probably 2 a.m., 3 a.m., however long that takes. So it's a pain for everybody, just so that the owner can get more money, get that gate, the ticket sales from that second game. I don't like it. You know, players, by the way, as well, they could get tight and they have to re-warm up instead of being warm already. Because if it was just 30 minutes after the first game and then you go into the second game, after the first game's over, you could have Dylan Cease and then I think it's Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. You could have them go to the bullpen and throw, get ready, and then we're ready to go. The players that were playing in that game, they can go into the clubhouse, they can change uniforms if they want, they can have some snacks, they can eat, right? Like they can have a break and then you can go right back at it instead of having to wait even longer. Because I doubt the players, I'd love to have a player on here to talk about this, but I doubt the players actually like having these split double headers. Wouldn't they want to be out of the ballpark sooner and just get it done? Because it's a long day. One game's a long day at the ballpark anyway. Because these guys usually, I don't know about today, but usually they'll get there. This is more for night games, not day games, but sometimes guys will get there 5 hours before the game, maybe even more than that. And then you just add in that time where you're not leaving the ballpark and you're sitting there. And in Philly, maybe it's not that bad for like staffers and stuff because they can probably eat some Philly cheesesteaks in that clubhouse and have some time there. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But getting back to this game, and I will get to the chat obviously because I do have that obviously here going live. Um, I thought the Padres like good job for them taking advantage of Mick Abel not being able to find the strike zone consistently enough. Um, I know we can sit here and be like, yeah, it's easy to just not swing at the pitches, but we've seen Padres players expand the zone this season too much. And so I think you got to give him a little bit of credit there. And then when that bases loaded situation came, Manny hanging breaking ball takes it down the line, you know, was able to take advantage of that situation there. And the Padres haven't been able to do that well enough over the last like 40, 45 games. Like the numbers show it. So that was good to see. You know, the downside is like when you score 5 runs in the second inning, you don't want the final to be 6-4. You'd like, maybe you get to 8 runs, 9 runs, score some more runs than just one more run that they got there in that fourth inning. But again, like for me, all I care about is they won the game, and so they did. I think with recency bias, what we just saw was Robert Suarez there in that ninth inning, and the mislocation was something that stood out to me again. Obviously, he's coming off of that blown save in Cincinnati. Shouldn't have even been in that situation anyway, if we're being honest. You know, I'm talking about being in the situation to be in a save situation. Like, could have been way better with runners in scoring position and taking opportunities there, taking advantage of them. Didn't, and that happens. Today he comes in, and obviously it was 6-4 the final. And there's going to be talk about Robert Suarez not being the closer now, have Jason Adam be the closer. As much as I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with that, I feel like it's kind of like the top of the lineup situation. You can change things around, but at the end of the day, you're going to need your big guys to come through anyway. At the end of the day, you're going to need Robert Suarez to pitch like we know Robert Suarez can when it matters the most, right? Because you're going to want him to pitch even if it's not the ninth inning, you're going to want him to pitch in the eighth inning or pitch in the seventh inning. You don't want Morahone, I don't think, to be the closer because he's that lefty of those 3, 4 guys. Like Estrada's a righty as well. So of those big guys in the bullpen, you probably want your lefty to not have a solidified 1 inning role and only be in the save situation there in that ninth inning. Because then that just limits your flexibility because maybe the save comes when Schwarber and Harper are up in the eighth inning. And if you be like, no, more homes for the ninth, are you setting yourself up for the best there? Like, all I care about and all the Padres should care about is getting outs. Doesn't matter how you get them, when the pitcher is pitching, when you get the outs. It's about getting the 27 outs. So I'd like to leave the lefty, your best lefty reliever, which is Morahone. I'd like to leave him more in a flexible role and not nail him down to a seventh inning or an eighth inning or a ninth inning. But for this doubleheader, like Jason Adam, he didn't pitch. It was Hoeing, Morahone, and Suarez, and Hoeing didn't do the best either. I wonder when they need a starting pitcher, will they send Hoeing down? Who will that be that they send down? Will it just be Nunez that they're bringing up? They brought up today, and they brought up what's his name? Ron Marinaccio. They brought him up because you can have a 27th man for the doubleheader. So obviously he'll be sent down, and then we'll see when they need another starter. But I would think you'd keep Hoeing, with the track record that he's had in the big leagues, and he did pretty much just come back up. But we'll see about that. Adam, for this second game, he would be the closer because they're not going to have Suarez pitch both games. I know there's a day off tomorrow, but they're not going to have him pitch both games. What was the pitch count? 18 pitches. Yeah, you're not going to have him go out there again and then possibly get to like 40, right? Nick Pivetta was tremendous today. Talk about the one guy that, I feel the best about for sure in this rotation, like slam dunk, it's Nick Pivetta. Today was his 11th outing of the season with at least 6 innings. 6 innings for him today, 1 run, no walks, 6 punchies, did give up that homer to Schwarber, but at the time it felt like that was just going to be like, oh, okay, whatever. It's a solo home run. Not going to mean much. Padres, they'll be able to win this game, pretty easily. But then obviously in the ninth inning there, it ends up becoming a little bit hairy, but I know Schwarber chased at that pitch, but Suarez still had 101. 101 fastball up. That's going to be kind of hard to lay off if you're Schwarber there, you would think, right? Because you're in there to drive those runs in. And when you don't have time, obviously, to react, like that's going to look good probably out of the hand. And so for all those that maybe don't want Suarez, like you'll overreact and like Suarez, get him off the team and get him out of the closer role, which I don't think that's that big of an overreaction. But like to get him off the team or trade him if it's just because you don't want him on the team. If there's other reasons, then okay. But if you're going to overreact, it's like this guy still has 101. there was some things that we weren't loving from Suarez last regular season, and then when it mattered the most, what happened? He did end up coming through. I think we got to remember that. So that's what I've got on this game. I think it's a good time now to go to the chat for those that were watching this day game. If I can get to the chat. There we go. Yes, thank you, Devitt. Yes, I did see that I was live. Mike says, hey, Ben, good win. I hope that gets them in a winning mood. I hope so, too. Tatis, by the way, something I should probably mention, running down the line. It seemed like he was good. He stayed in the game, but it didn't look great. It didn't look like he had his normal jog going back to the dugout. Now, there were no trainers that came and looked at him in the dugout, so I would think that he maybe waved him off or just he was good. But he had long strides trying to beat that ball, that ground ball out to third base. I'd say like middle of the game. And it was like 3 long strides and then one after, a couple after the bag. And he kind of dragged that foot there and it just didn't look normal. So I wonder, is he going to just DH this second game? I would think that they'd play him. You know, it's one thing if you're going to use the double off days, right, tomorrow and today, then you wouldn't play him at all in this doubleheader, right? Because he already has the taxing on his body from game one. You probably would just play him game two here. But we'll see if there's any effects, like, you know, a little down the road on Tatis there. A lot of walks. Yes, Devin does say Manny plus walks equals 6 runs. The Phillies, you know, this is one of the games where you're going to take them and you're not going to apologize for it. Thank you for all these free passes. The Phillies had, I think, at least 7 walks in this game. Is there a stat for that? Where is that? Let's see. Merrill walked 3 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 walks in this game from Phillies pitching. So for an offense that's been struggling with runners in scoring position, struggling kind of in general, you'll take it, you move on, you win the game, great. Devin says, not going to lie, I'm trending towards the idea of trading Suarez more and more than previous discussions. I have lost almost full confidence in Suarez closing games. And while that's fair, what I would say, kind of like I just said a moment ago, what were people saying last year? I remember some of this same stuff, and then the talent comes through in the postseason. So I understand, like on my last live show, right, we had a Padre fan come on, and he was talking about maybe a deal with the Red Sox and getting Jaron Duran, and how, like, you know, Cease and I think it was Cease, the guy that he named with Suarez, those guys free agents at the end of the season. The bullpen and just the pitching staff overall wouldn't be like in a lot of trouble. You still have Adam, you still have Estrada, you still have Hoeing, you still have someone like Adrian Morejon. You know, there's additions that you can make before the trade deadline. There are still guys. Maybe you have King and Darvish come back. We'll see. There are still options there, and then you can improve left field, obviously. Maybe have Gavin Sheets go back to DHing more, and you bring someone like Jaron Duran in. You're not getting Suarez has an opt out after this season, so he could, you know, opt in still. I don't want because I looked at that on Spot Track the other day, and I think a lot of people think that he's just a free agent at the end of the year. It's an opt out decision, at least according to Spot Track. So it's not like, oh, he's definitely, you know, going to be a free agent at the end of the year. But I think he's around 35. And do the Padres even want to risk him opting in? And maybe they just deal him. And it is one of the, you know, for a reliever, especially with what's happening right now, you know, payroll wise. Yeah, it's not the easiest salary to have on the books, but the guy still, I mean, he just threw 101 today to strike out Kyle Schwarber. Like, he has 24 saves on the year. I want to say he's tied with Josh Hader for the league lead, or now maybe he surpassed him. I saw that a couple days ago. The guy is a talented reliever, and there's a lot of teams, while Padres fans may sit here and be like, yeah, trade him, there's a lot of teams that would love to have Robert Suarez on their team. I'm just saying. So I'm glad that the Padres front office will be more measured in their thinking than some Padres fans will be. But we're fans. Like, we're going to overreact. You know, we don't get paid to be measured with with thoughts, right? We can think whatever, however we want to think. Let's see. My mic is very low. It's at the same that it was last night when I was told to bring it up. I'll have the mic closer to my face, maybe. Maybe that'll help. I don't like Morahone as the next closer. It limits what you can do with him. I want to have my lefty be able to get the save whenever the save is. The save isn't always in the ninth inning. Johnny says Tatis hitting 204 over the last 45 games. I'm guessing he won't be an MVP candidate. Tremendous. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be an MVP candidate either. But really, all I care about is the Padres make the postseason, and then he's healthy, and he's performing well as they get into the postseason. Like, remember when Blake Snow won the Cy Young for us, but in 2023 didn't make the postseason? Did we really care that much? It was like, oh, good for Blake, but it's like, I don't really care. Didn't make the postseason. And he wasn't like one of ours because we knew he was just going to leave anyway. So I'm not saying Tatis is going to leave because he's under contract, but I'd much rather not win the MVP and then you just find a way to get it done in the postseason and you're playing well at the end of the year. You want both, but trying to be optimistic with that there. I don't really care if the Padres were lucky to win this game, to be quite honest. Like, they won the game. Awesome jacket, Carter says. Thank you. Yeah, I do like this one. Especially when, like, I don't want to wear a hood, but you want the sleeves. Mike says, I wonder what we could get for Suarez, or would he be part of a package? I feel like he'd be more part of a package. You could definitely get a major league contributor for sure. That could probably help the lineup, or maybe you want to get a starting pitcher, or yeah. I don't think for Suarez is one of the best relievers in baseball. Whether Padres fans believe in that right now or not, like that's just the facts. So yeah, you would get a major league piece for sure, and someone that I think could impact your team. It wouldn't just be this salary dump, right? All right, I'll be back after game 2. Stupid split doubleheader here, just waiting, waiting instead of being able to just watch the second game and be able to react to both games. And everyone gets out of the ballpark earlier, and players can get home earlier, and ballpark workers get to have a shorter day, and whatever. All right, see everybody. Hopefully I can stop this